Okay guys, welcome back to the channel. Really cool video for you today. It's outtakes from the Zoom I did with J.R. Boisclair and Michael Fremer. And if you watched that video, which many of you did, it included a discussion mainly about pivoted tone arms versus linear tracking tone arms. And the information there was phenomenal. Even me, not even a vinyl guy, was enthralled by the conversation because indirectly it's what my channel is all about. I love getting into the weeds of understanding nuances that go beyond just fancy gear, fancy brand, high price tag. I've seen that for decades now, 4 decades almost. That doesn't get you to the highest level of performance. It requires a village of calibrations and all these little nuances from your room, even DSP and stuff like that, to get to these highest levels. And in the vinyl world, these calibrations are extremely important, down to the nanomillimeter, as you heard. So that was the main purpose of the Zoom. But while I had those guys on, we shot the breeze after that topic was finished on a variety of things that I thought I'd share with you, because I think you hear a bunch of stuff from Michael about stuff coming down the pipe with some recordings. He talks about, and I left it anonymous in there. He had an idea for a show, for a vendor at a show. Actually, it's been done. I know who did it, but I left it blank. See if any of you guys can answer it in the comments. But also, he talked about hearing the Bacch, and he heard it back in 2015. So you're going to hear his report on that. Actually, I have a picture. Maybe I'll pop it up for you guys. It had Rick Rubin, the famous producer and recording engineer, in the sweet spot for Edgar at CES 2015, when this wasn't even really a commercial product yet, demoing the technology. And also you have David Chesky in the background, Michael Fremer, I think even Alyssa with Estalon is in this picture. I'll pop it up and you guys can tell me. But in any case, this was really cool outtakes from that Zoom that I think you'll find informative and interesting. And I got plenty more coming soon, so stay tuned.
I mean, in a lot of ways, it's a great topic to debate. I just wanted to get away from people generalizing too much such that people get neurotic if they have one versus the other. And I kind of felt the first time people that didn't have linear tracking may be like, oh no, I got to get a linear tracker based on what Charles and Joe, and then you guys can provide some perspective that gives them comfort. You know, I'm not about creating neuroticism and overblowing, you know, what could be very good with both technologies. And
it ruins everything when you do that. It ruins everything. It's the same in the digital world. You know, oh, I don't like ringbacks. Oh, I do. Oh, well, I don't.
Right.
You know,
very primitive generalizations. They don't understand the details and the nuances, and they really don't understand the delta when they really objectively can listen. So that's really what my whole purpose of this Zoom was. Good. And y'all did a great job of giving all the details.
It's so like the digital is perfect. You know, no, it's not perfect. It keeps getting better. If it keeps getting better, how could it have been perfect?
I'm slowly working on JR, but yeah, I'm making baby steps with him.
Well, look, I have a DCS Vivaldi 1, you know, which is a pretty costly DAC SACD player, and I do a lot of streaming on it, and it's very enjoyable, and it's great, and it sounds really, really good. It sounds so much better than, you know, when CDs first came out. My God, it was so bad sounding. It was, and people said it was perfect, and it was great, and oh my God, listen to that. And it was terrible. And people say, well, go back and play those same CDs now on your new DAC, and you'll be surprised. And I put them on, and I'm not surprised. They still don't sound very good.
Well, it's a good, it reminds me of what we talked about, always having that intellectual honesty. I mean, some people swore that was the best, CD was the best when it first came out, but that people realized, and even USB, it went from, you know, async, you know, we have async, it was synchronous. Back in the day, we've had some advances, and I'm involved with some of the most advanced stuff now. There's always ways to improve things, and you guys are on the forefront with the analog side. I like to focus on the digital side, but at the end of the day, when we listen to our system, and I guess Jared has heard mine too, it's a level that you're not going to hear at the shows. It's not a level that people can really understand why we're spending this money. When they sit in front of your system or they sit in front of mine, they say, oh, I understand it now. It's not a case where
they always get it.
It's not a case where you know, well, he spent all that money on that. You know, that's what I see a lot of people who don't understand the hobby at the highest levels.
Yeah.
So
Some of them say, well, there must be a way to get this for spending less. And I will say, you can get a lot of it for spending less. You don't have to get to go to this extreme. You can get a lot of it and spend less. But nobody comes here and says, that's terrible. What are you talking about?
But
You know?
Michael, Jason's a big proponent of the Bach system. Have you heard that yet?
Oh, yeah, of course. Yeah. It's amazing. But I'm good with 2 channels.
Yeah.
You know, I get 3-dimensionality with a proper 2-channel setup here. I get stuff that goes way around on it. Like this record, Patrick put Q sound on the Madonna stuff, and he put Q sound on Roger Waters.
Yeah.
So he uses a very similar kind of matrix on here.
Really?
And when it's played back on a system that's really focused, where everything's set up within tiny increments in terms of where the speakers are and everything, stuff goes all the way around, and it's quite fun. But
I'm going to go order it right now, because I heard it for the first time this morning on Spotify, like I was saying, and I like that music.
You'll like the whole thing. It's got country and western, it's got blues, it's got rock, so you Music Direct has it, and Chad Scott at Elusive Disc has it, and Patrick's an interesting guy, and to get to work with someone like that is, you know, the first time I met him, he called me. He goes, I just got off the phone with Elton. And I said, oh, yeah, me too. How do you have that? That's interesting. I wasn't on the phone with Elton, believe me, I wasn't.
Do you have any other records in the mix coming up, do you think?
Oh, lots of stuff planned. Yep. He's got lots of new records planned. If this has got to be successful first. And
cool.
Real quick, are you going to Pacific Audio Fest, Michael or JR? You're both going to that?
I'm going.
I'm not going to that. I went once 2 years ago because my protege lived in Portland, and I wanted to see him after a couple of years, so I went to that show. But I'll be at the Capitol Audio Fest.
Yeah, I'll be at that one as well. Yeah, I'm a skeptic. Pacific's the same time as Cedia, and for me, Cedia gives a little counterplay to the normal audiophile show.
Yeah,
to focus on room treatments and other things that aren't the norm at the audio show. So
I'm just writing about tube traps, and I've had tube traps. Because my speakers, they're giant speakers, they're up against the corner, and people look at my room in photos, they go, well, that can't work. That your bass must suck in your room. I go, oh, definitely. That's why I bought these speakers that cost as much as 5 cars, which I bought because I like bad bass. No, it works great. And one of the reasons it works great is because these tube traps are incredible. So I've had the tube traps since 1988. Harry Pearson gave me these tube traps. And I've never had them out of my system. And so I got the newest version of them, and I took the old ones out to hear how bad it got. And it wasn't horrible, but I could hear the back of the front of the room. I could really hear that space, as opposed to when they're in and you don't hear the space.
Right. So
they work. So I put the new ones in, and they're not just marginally better, they're incredibly better. And they resolve all this mid-range information that was getting slightly muddied up, not in an audible way, but having that fixed. Every record I played, once I did this, I was hearing all these familiar records like for the first time again, in a way that it's mind-blowing. I wasn't expecting that. It'll make the review easy to write because it's so clarified now. It's amazing.
Well, ASC, I mean, JR can attest, I've got tons of them in my room all over the place. Yeah. And that's one thing that the Pacific Audio Show specializes in, because that's one that they attend and actually supply a lot of the rooms.
Oh, yeah, they bring
in. And consistently, I've given my awards to the rooms that have had theirs, just coincidentally, but probably uncoincidentally, because they do work so well. So, yeah, that's going to be a great review to watch. So yeah.
Can I tell you about this idea I had for a hi-fi show? And no one's ever done it, but they should do it. So there are 2 rooms. They're identical rooms, and in these hotels you can get the identical room on a different floor. The same system, set up exactly the same. The only difference are cables, and you can't see them because they're all covered up. And people have to go to both rooms and decide do they sound the same or do they sound different? If they sound different, which sounds better? I would like to do that. Wouldn't that be a great idea?
Well, actually, he did do that, although he didn't cover them up.
What do you think about USB cables? Like going from a DAC to do you think that makes a difference?
Well, put it to you this way. it can make a difference, and we've seen it with charging on our phones. Sometimes you'll plug in a cable on your phone, it tells you slow charging because the connector quality at some point gets deteriorated. Our gear doesn't have that warning message, so you may hear it in terms of something poor. But if you have a properly constructed USB cable, the IP packet nature of how it's being transmitted now shouldn't impact the sound quality. But can the cable, based on reliability and how that's originally terminated, be better? Yeah, we don't get the feedback. Our phone tells us that the cable sucks. You know, digital cables can tell you that.
And noise and the insulation of the voltage that's going in there would have no effect.
Yeah, I mean, Edgar has studied this stuff to the nth degree because of the Bacch and all these things that he does. He has to give presentations to the AES, and he would, if the USB cable was superior, he definitely would supply it with the Bacch. And he says, you know, his testing has shown if it's a certified USB cable, which you can get relatively cheap, that's probably your best value.
Yeah.
Oh shit, I forgot what I was going to say.
Yeah, wait till you get really old like me, and then you'll forget more. You know, the great old joke is, being old is when you forget to zip up your fly. And really old is when you forget to zip it down.
Oh.